Okay, again, good morning, everybody, and welcome to this program of the University of Arkansas Small Business and Technology Development Center. If you don't already know about the Small Business Development Center, we are a one-stop shop for startups and existing small businesses. We are also associated with the University of Arkansas and affiliated with SBA and statewide ASBTDC, as well as a national network of more than 1,000 small business centers. Locally, we offer complimentary one-on-one consulting that includes business planning, market analysis, financial programs, and just like any kind of other programs that we have, all these Zoom sessions, we also offer those at no charge. And they're relevant topics for you guys. So I really recommend that you hop on as many of these as you possibly can. Now, if you are not already a client, we encourage you to visit us at sbtdc.uark.edu. And again, for any questions that you may have after this webinar, please don't hesitate to contact me at ccase@walton.uark.edu. Now, I will hop back and forth to make sure that you guys don't have any questions along the way. So please let me know. I'm going to actually hop over there right now and make sure that all of you guys can get on here fine. And if you have any questions, please just hop on and either in the Q&A or the chat, either way. Okay, I don't see any questions, so let's go ahead and get started. Again, we're ASBTDC. My email address is ccase@walton.uark.edu. We offer all kinds of complimentary services, so please don't hesitate to join us at sbtdc.uark.edu. So the agenda today, I'm going to talk about three things, but I'm going to kind of spin off it just a little bit. But we're going to talk about Generation Z, obviously, the best hiring practices and tips for retaining. So you might hear me repeat myself over and over again because Gen Z, they're really simple. They're pretty straightforward. And so a lot of the things that I want to recommend for hiring is the same thing for retaining. So how would you define Gen Z? So if you just thought, if you've got a pen and paper right now and jot down a couple characteristics, just think about that for just a second. So overall, what would be how you define Gen Z? What have you heard on the news? What have your friends talked about in other business owners? How do you define Gen Z? Because it really does get a little muddy with the millennials and Gen Z. So I'll talk a little bit about that more in just a second. But if you had to write down maybe three characteristics of Gen Z, what would those be? So here's some key facts. Gen Zs, a lot of people call them Zoomers. I think it's just easier to say. So I'll refer to them as Gen Z, but don't be shocked if you hear the word Zoomer. They were born between 1997 and 2009. Again, some statistics and research say 2012. So those years really are not set in stone. They're about 13 to 25 years old. They're more racially and ethnically diverse than previous generations. They're on track to be the best educated generation. And I'll tell you why in just a little bit, but that is a really key characteristic. They're digital natives. I don't think they've ever known anything but YouTube and smartphones and Google. That's just how they were born. 98% own a smartphone and spend an average of 10 hours on that a day. Okay, those are big numbers, and those are numbers that you really need to know, especially if you're leading this group of individuals. Now, I hate that this graph is a little bit blurry. I tried to crisp it up a little bit, but it's so important for you to see this because it just kind of gives you an overall look at who you're dealing with, the different group of Hispanics, whites, Blacks, Asians, and other. But you'll notice the Gen Zs, 50% are white and 25, a quarter are Hispanic. Now, if you'll go down to the early boomers, you can see how that's really changed. That brown color up top is a lot more equal than it's ever been before. That's going to be really key when you're leading this group also, because not only their characteristics, but their backgrounds and their ethnicity really play a huge role in leading this generation. Now, we get a lot of the information confused between the millennials and the Gen Zs, and there are key differences. So those out of all the generations that I talk about, these two actually get more muddied than any other generations put together. So The millennials, basically, they're back to work life, where the Gen Zs are more entrepreneurial in their mindset. And I'll explain that a little bit more of where that comes from. The millennials are a little bit more team oriented and collaborative, where the Gen Zs love to learn. They love those opportunities at work, especially. The millennials, job opportunities and career development, versus the Gen Zs, job security and pay raise. And then the millennials, again, are a little bit more self-centered, where the Generation Zs are self-aware. One thing I do want to point out here too, do not group people together, because you are going to know millennials that are more like baby boomers, or Gen Z, maybe Gen X. You might know more Gen Z that are like baby boomers. So there are a lot of people that do kind of relate a little bit more to a different group than what they are actually classified in. So when I say a lot of this stuff, please don't kind of bucket everybody that's a millennial or a Gen Z into these buckets, because there are a lot of different variations. What influenced Gen Z? This is huge. This is going to play a role into everything that you know about leading them and what they're going to need in their environment at work. 9/11, even though they were just born, they grew up in a family. You know, we're all products of our family. They grew up in a family that already had 9/11, you know, the first terrorist attack on US soil. It was huge. It was very emotional. And so their family and their parents lived through that. And as young children, were very moldable. We also heard that, even though we didn't really relate it or understand it, we knew something was going on. Terrorism and war was another big one. Probably one of the biggest ones is the 2008 Great Recession. Again, some of them were pretty young, but that's going to really play a key role into how to really hire and maintain and retain the Gen Z population. Barack Obama was elected the first Black president. Gun violence became huge. Climate change, always wired connectivity, corporate social responsibility, which is going to play a key into what they're looking at in their career moves. And then COVID was a big one. So if you can see by a lot of what influenced this group, there's a lot of turmoil, a lot of uncertainty. Even though they didn't know anything different, you've got to remember that's where their mindset and their emotions are. And that really plays a key role when you are leading this generation. So I wanted to give you some workplace statistics, and these are all over the place, from Gallup to LinkedIn to Microsoft. But these statistics really kind of wrap up and bundle what you guys are looking at in this Generation Z. So they make up about 30% of the workforce by 2025. That's huge. They're going to make up a big chunk. 1/3 of the people that are working for us are going to be Gen Z. And then according to LinkedIn, and this is key too, the #1 driver in 2022 was opportunities to learn and to grow. In 2019, that was actually #9. So think about that for just a second. In just those short amount of years, it went from #9, that individuals really wanted opportunities to learn and grow and develop, to #1 of the driving force in the workforce culture. That is really important. If out of all the other things that I say, that is the one thing about the Gen Zs that I really, really want you to know, is they are always looking for those opportunities. They might be online, they might be one-on-one coaching and mentoring, but they're always looking for those opportunities. Now, Microsoft also reports that a lot of these individuals want to be their own boss. Actually, 76% of Gen Z and millennials said that that is their #1 goal. And then of the Gen Z and millennial employees polled, 77 said that they are more likely to remain in their current jobs if they've got the flexibility to pursue side projects. So this group, this generation is very busy. They like a lot going on. Not only do they want a full-time job, but a lot of times they want some sort of a side gig, and they want your blessing along with that. So 77%, almost three-quarters of these individuals, along with the millennials, want that opportunity outside of work. Now, 5 key traits. Before I jump into here, I'm going to come back to you guys and see if there are any questions that you have or any issues that anybody is having. Okay, you can put that again. If you can get into chat, that would be great, or the Q&A. Okay. So 5 key traits in the workforce. Gen Z, this number one is they are tech savvy. There's no shocking reality that's a revolution to that. They grew up this way, so they're going to be tech savvy. They're going to be the ones that you really want to go to and talk to them about. Do we want to move to Slack? Do we want to move to another program of communication? So please take advantage of this characteristic because they are very tech savvy. So a recent survey of 12,000 Gen Z teens related that 91% said that technology offered by the employer will make a difference if they're choosing between two potential options, two different employers. They're going to lean toward more of the technology. So that will win out above another position or another company. So please keep that in mind. They view Facebook, Snapchat, and Twitter as a very critical part of their daily life, both personally and professionally. Snapchat is the number one preferred social media platform, with 41% naming it their favorite. So Snapchat, those are the pictures that go away quickly, but that is how they're communicating. There's hardly any words unless they type those in and circle them. I'm not a big understander of Snapchat, but it's one of those where that is how they communicate. Instagram comes in a close second, being favored by 35% of teens. So again, just these statistics here can tell you and show you that they really live, eat, and breathe tech. They're very risk averse. Remember what I told you earlier about the key things that really influenced how they were born and raised and along the way. They're risk averse because a lot of it was uncertain or insecure. They didn't even realize that as they were growing up, but a lot of things were kind of a little bit more stressful, a little bit scarier than it was for us baby boomers, for example. So they're going to be a lot more risk averse than previous generations, and it's likely stemming from growing up with 2008. That uncertainty during 2008, again, whether they recognized it or not, their parents, their family, their caregivers definitely recognized it, and it was very scary for a lot of people. Now, as a result, this generation also tends to look for employers who can offer stability. Remember, again, going back to what influenced them, they want stability, they want security, they want opportunities for growth and development. That's going to be really key in retaining this generation. 69% would rather have a stable job than one they were truly passionate about. I think this is a little bit of a misgiving, and you'll hear sometimes different research out there. But one of the things that I've seen, and I'm in companies all the time with these Gen Zs, is they want the stability job. They want transparency, authenticity. They want to know what's going on, and they're going to even put that over their truly passionate values for that position. They are also independent. They care a lot about being independent. Their mindset is reflected in the way that they work. The internet has given them access to literally thousands of years and millions of documentation that they can have at their fingertips. They don't a lot of times ask for advice. They don't go to somebody else. They don't look in a dictionary, the Webster dictionary, like us boomers used to do. They go straight to Google or some sort of a search engine to get their answer. Then more than any previous generation, they also understand that the alternatives to the traditional 9-to-5 job exist, especially after COVID. They now know that things are flexible and we can kind of mold what we want our job and our job hours and our work day to look like. And they understand that very clearly. Now, the majority, 84%, view a healthy work-life balance as a priority. Okay, and we'll talk a little bit about work-life balance because that kind of can go a lot of different directions. But they're also willing, if they feel that way at work, they're going to be flexible in return. They want to advance. They're competitive. They want security, so they do want to advance at work. And so they will take those opportunities if they feel that they're allowed their work-life balance and kind of their own mannerism or their way. They're going to be more flexible and more giving in return. They're also competitive. Again, a lot of this dates back to 2008, where they were insecure and their families were worried about money or being laid off. and jobs. So they're going to relish a little bit of healthy competition because of that. There is a great author out there. He writes a lot about Gen Z, and he writes Gen Z at Work and Gen Zer. He's a Gen Zer himself. So I loved what he said, because it kind of really wraps up their competitive nature, that we're looking for a competitive, a little bit more. We saw the downfall of the economy. We saw our parents struggle so much at home. So as we enter the workforce, money is very, very important to us. Again, this kind of goes back and forth with their work-life balance, but you've got to remember with them, they want stability. And so they'll be a little bit more, have a healthy competitiveness at work to make sure that they are secure. And in a lot of cases, that's a little bit more money. So feeling seen and appreciated in the workplace is something that they really strive for. They love feedback, believe it or not. I know this is one of the things that a lot of people have a hard time. Do we evaluate? Do we offer feedback? How do we do that without hurting the relationship? But 97% said that they're receptive on receiving and on an ongoing basis getting evaluated. They're not going to want to be the ones that are pulled into an office once a year and evaluated. This group is going to want continual feedback. And again, if you're good at giving that, you can give hard feedback and a hard evaluation without turning them off. More than likely, it's consistent. It's not one of those when there's a problem, then I'm going to give you feedback. You're kind of mentoring them and coaching them along the way, which really plays into retention. They want to feel heard and that you know who they are, and they're kind of at the forefront of your mind. That's just this group of people. So always offering them advice, mentoring them is really good for this group of people. And they're focused on authenticity. Okay, so they gravitate toward companies that are a little bit more purpose driven. They like, it doesn't need to be a company that is such a huge advocate or is promoting, some kind of a movement. They look for employers and businesses that are honest, that are trustworthy, that have good reputations. I heard from a Gen Z not very long ago that they'll go on all those different viewing or evaluation sites of businesses to see if they're evaluated in a positive way. They're really looking for good people to work for. So it's not something, again, that you've got to be on this big movement as a company. You've just got to be a good company, a good person, a good leader, and they will follow you. So the emphasis that Gen Z places on truth and authenticity also affects how they look at their workplace interactions. So again, making sure that you're always talking to them and evaluating. Maybe there's a relationship with maybe a coworker that's maybe not going so great. Having you come in and kind of intervening in a slight way is really beneficial. And then the top qualities they see in a boss are honesty and integrity. 74% prefer having real face-to-face communication with colleagues too. So that's that ongoing, let's talk, let's have you come in my office, let me hop on a call or Zoom with you, just being in front of them and really believing and having them believe that you really trust them and you want what's best for not only them, but the company and the team and the environment. So they're just, again, a group of people that are tuned in to transparency, to companies being trustworthy, leadership being trustworthy. That is really big with this Gen Z group. They've got to feel and like working for you. So working remotely, this is a question I have been getting quite a bit with the Gen Zs. A lot of us are assuming that 100% of them want to work remotely. They kind of want to be out on their own. They want to maybe go to a coffee shop and work. From the statistics that I am getting, that is absolutely not true. So even though they love flexibility and being on their own, only 17% said that they would request or prefer to work completely remotely. Only 17%. 33% would prefer to work in the office, and then 31% wants kind of more of a hybrid schedule. So keep in mind with this group of individuals, not one size fits all. You're going to have some that are going to love that 100% remote, but from all the statistics and the research that I'm seeing, that's not actually the case. They like a little bit of both. They want that face-to-face interaction, especially with their leaders inside the office. Okay, I'm going to hop back over to you guys to see if there are any questions, any comments. Okay, and again, I put my email in the chat, so please look at that, and I'll give you my email at the end of the session also. Okay, so retention statistics. I love statistics, and I kind of go all over and search for these because I really think that they paint kind of a broad picture of this generation. So 54% of employees who quit their jobs did so because they feel or felt undervalued. That again is that face-to-face. It's them believing in their leaders, trusting their leaders, liking their leaders, and believing their leaders are good people. They are going to feel undervalued if they don't feel that that leader, that authentic leader, is giving them the time of day, giving them the face-to-face time. With more of a pragmatic mindset, this generation wants financial security. They're more likely to have a side job, just like I mentioned before. This is a great retention advantage. It doesn't take anything out of your pocket, anything out of your time. They can actually do it. Gen Z's like a lot going on. So kind of promoting them having a side gig that is not, influencing or kind of overlapping on their job, they will be good and they will thrive under that. It's a great perk. It's a great thing for you guys to do to keep them retained and happy. So talking to them about their side gig, maybe they're a waitress at night and you want to hear some stories about how the weekend went. Just those little things don't cost anything, but it's a huge retention factor. And then 53% don't rely solely on their own job for pay. So again, they might be dog sitting, they might be babysitting or house sitting, they might be doing something outside. Just to know that over half of them do not live on just their job pay, it's going to really be helpful for that group of people, for you to kind of promote having, or at least, liking and talking about having a side gig. Okay, so there's so much that I could tell you about the Gen Zs when managing them in the workplace. But what I did was I went out and kind of captured a lot of different research and boiled them down to 10 tips. And I know 10 tips are a lot, but a lot of it is going to kind of play into itself and play into what I was talking about, what influenced them earlier too in this presentation. Okay, so communication tools. This is one of the key things with this Gen Z. They know how to do it. They've communicated electronically, even though it hasn't been a whole lot of face-to-face. They know texting. They want to be on YouTube. They want to be on Facebook. The internet has really allowed them the opportunity to have those open channels really 24/7. So again, knowing that their emails are going to be a normal means of communication, their media, their social media, their text. Just know that it's going to be a variety of different ways that they're going to be communicating with you. And it's going to be pretty much, like I said, it might be on a Saturday morning when us baby boomers were pretty used to, you went to work from 8 to 5 and then you went home. They're kind of a little different mindset. Don't drag them into a physical meeting unless it's necessary. Even though they like that face-to-face time, they need to feel like it's worth it and that you're using their time and respecting their time, like everybody else's. And then deploy more channels for virtual communication. There's a lot of options out there. Slack is a really popular one with the Gen Zs right now. It is just instant texting, and they've got it up on their computer at all times. But there's other applications out there that you can use. But they do, a lot of us, the baby boomers, I'm going to kind of pick on again, we didn't kind of want to feel that we were always on call. This group don't mind, they do not mind it. They do not mind having Slack up even throughout the weekend and communicating. Positive company culture. Again, that's a little bit different, like I was talking to you guys about before. Really, as a company, telling your story and telling your history, having the Gen Z understand, where you came from, where you are right now, and even where you're going. It is really important for this group to believe in not only the company, but especially the leader. So they really do value that more than anything else. Like I said earlier, it doesn't have to be part of a huge movement. They just need to feel like they're working for the right company. Make time, like I said earlier, to engage, to talk. evaluate how did your weekend go with your second job. They like to communicate, and they like to feel like you care about communicating with them, and encourage them to do more and reward their efforts when they do go that extra mile, because they will. They like to be competitive, even though it's healthy. They do like to go that extra mile because they really do believe that's where it's going to get them the promotion or the raise or even the respect and the credibility. Embrace the use of new technology. I mentioned Slack just a second ago, but there's other options. There's Adobe Scan where you can convert your old paper documents to PDF. You've got the Google Drive that you can save information on. Teams is another great one. But again, I mean, even if you're, a restaurant and you don't have a lot of that documentation, they still want maybe the process and procedure model electronically. They don't want you to go to a file cabinet and grab it out and have them read the paper version of it. So again, whether you have a lot of paperwork with your business or not, it's really important for you and for credibility with them, for you to have a lot of this stuff electronically. This is why I offer my email address, because I have a lot of questions of stuff like this afterwards, whether the best programs or applications to use in order to do this for my business. So please take advantage of that, because not only me, we've got a lot of experts with ASBTDC that can help you move that information to a great electronic platform. And then promote diversity and inclusion. Remember that the majority of the Gen Zs, they're very open-minded. They prefer to work in an environment that's more kind of diverse and racially and educational backgrounds. They like different. They like a variety. They like diverse. That's just how they were born and raised. And again, with the graph that I showed you earlier, it is more diverse in the workforce than ever before. They're naturals at that. They don't even really look at it too deeply. But as a company, as a leader, you've got to make sure that you really kind of promote that within your team or within your company. They are also a tech savvy group, and they like to feel included. They love anything that you can enhance their learning, their development, their advancement. They are really excited about. Now, prioritizing mental health. And I was just watching a whole documentary on this morning. This is the group. I don't want you to get so pigeonholed that this is a group that is overly stressed and they might need more mental health. That's not necessarily true. What's happening, again, what influenced them, what they lived through was always stressful. It was 9/11, it was 2008, it was COVID. So they really do deal with stress a little bit better than the rest of us, because they have not known a whole lot different. But still, you've got to make sure that you realize this is a tendency of theirs, and there's so much information that you can provide to them and allow them to have. Just again, this is something that is not standard in every Gen Z, but they do get stressed about security, about work, about money, about balancing. Play close attention to their moods at work. And again, I don't want to get too deep into this to where, they're always going to come in a bad mood. So you've got to adjust, or I've got to be ready for some kind of a psychological treatment or counseling. That's not the case, but that's what's out there a lot. If you watch documentaries or YouTube videos or TED Talks, they talk a lot about this group being very stressed and very kind of high maintenance, where you've got to make sure that their mental health is a little bit more important and that you're focused on. Even though to a certain extent that's true, this group is more in touch with their emotions than probably the rest of us. So as a leader, as a business owner, I don't want you to kind of pigeonhole this group into being the most stressful generation, which is what you will hear. Just instead, for you, figure out which individual can get more stressed under which circumstances, and really allow yourself to lead them through that. Again, going back to retention, having a boss, a leader, a company that cares about them when they're having those bad days is one of the best ways that you can retain these Gen Zs. They need to feel cared about. They need to feel that the company that they're working for and their leader truly cares about them. This is one of, again, doesn't cost anything, but just a little bit of time and caring can go a long way with retaining this Gen Z. Okay, before I go on to number 6, I want to come back to you guys and just make sure if there are any questions. Okay, so here's a great one. I've noticed the passion to learn and grow by Gen Z. So we've used a weekly staff meeting as a connection point. Is there a good resource platform to grab great talking points during staff meetings? This is a really great, I love that you're doing that, because again, it could be just a weekly session of a 5-minute touch base. It could be a half an hour touch base. Just, it kind of leads itself. But I do not know of a platform that automatically grabs that. Here's what I do, and I know this is kind of strange, but on my phone, you've got that app to where it's a recording. I will hit that. I will let people know, you know, I'm going to record this meeting, but I will actually record that on my phone. And then I can go back to that if I want to. You can also have an individual that kind of keeps highlighted notes as you're recording. So, you know, if it's an hour meeting, you don't have to go back every week and listen to that. But grabbing those great talking points and then utilizing those throughout the week, and maybe links that you send them to articles, maybe quotes that you have. I've got a client right now that is reading a really, really good book by Ed Milet, and he will pick out quotes from that book once a week and email those quotes to everybody. And he said it's really resonating more with the Gen Zs than it is with any other generation, because these quotes, they take these pretty seriously. They're very emotional quotes, they're feeling quotes, and so that Gen Z really utilizes those. Okay, the chat room is just, okay, let me, again, I'm going to give you guys my email because the chat is disabled, and I've got it on the last slide too, but again, it is ccase@walton.uark.edu. Okay, and again, it's on the last slide, so I'll make sure that I kind of pause that on the last slide for you guys too. Okay, so embracing work-life balance. I feel like I'm a broken record because I'm repeating the same things over and over again. Work-life balance to this group of people, they want to feel that when they're at work, they're working for a leader or a company that truly does the right thing, that truly lives by what they say, treats individuals the way they need to be treated, is transparent. So again, with the work-life balance, it's a little bit different with the Gen Zs, where when we go back to that, and I always hate that work-life balance because in essence, I'm not so sure there is work-life balance, but with different people and with different generations, there's more of a healthy life balance, if you will, than maybe not having a healthy life balance. Okay, but with this group, they're not any longer restricted by the 4 walls in the office. So allowing them to work a little bit remotely will really help with this group. Again, they will work. They like to have a lot going on and they will get it done. Not embracing the work-life balance leads to reduced productivity and burnout. So really, to wrap up, for the Gen Zs, the work-life balance is feeling like their job is not really their job. They want to go to work. They want to be around friends. They want to work for somebody that they, again, trust and respect. That's going to be really key to them, because those two, with over any other generation, the work-life balance is kind of more muddied with them than the rest of us. We kind of like to break up the work and the life. For them, a lot of times their work life and their life work are together. You know, they truly like the people that they're working with. They truly have fun with them, and they truly believe in you. So that's really their work-life balance. And then encourage development and growth. I cannot stress this enough with this generation. It does not have to be anything major. It can be that weekly meeting, that touch base. That's development and growth. Anytime that you take time to spend with them and to listen to them, and then to really kind of take that information and, you know, send out an email to follow up, or a quote that kind of relates back to that conversation, is really, really huge for this group of people. Anytime that you can create growth, and it doesn't need to be, you know, face to face, it can be online. There's a lot of different options out there that you can do. Even sending a weekly newsletter with different links or different options in there for maybe TED Talks or a book. I'm actually doing with one client a book club right now, and I'm having each of them read a chapter a month. it was kind of funny because at first when I thought of doing that, I thought it's kind of corny. Are they going to really like this book? It's the Ed Milet book, The Power of One More. I love this book because it is related to, I'm coaching 12 of these individuals in this business, and it is related to them each completely differently. I mean, each of them have embraced this book club. It's not taken a whole lot of time. It's one chapter a month, but then we touch base about it. And they really feel that this is a huge part of their growth right now. So it doesn't take, you signing them up for a huge conference in Santa Barbara and them going away for a week, or, them taking a college class and getting some kind of a degree. Those are great. They really are. But a lot of those don't have the time or the funds to do something like that. This growth and development is so minor, but it is so huge with them. If they feel like they're moving forward, you will retain them. They will be more productive, and they will be some of the best employees that you can have. Allow them to work independently. And I think I've said this before. Again, they don't want to be 100% remote, but they do want to work independently sometimes throughout the day or throughout the week. They do like working on teams. That's something that, again, is one of those, I think, rumors, if you will, that are out there, that they don't like working on teams, that they're more kind of wanting to work by themselves. They are one of the most self-aware generations that are out there. And so for them, it really kind of couples with being around people and being, they're self-aware, having their strengths and their opportunities, and really playing and utilizing those into a team. So they do like to work independently, but they do not like to be alone all the time. Encourage freedom of expression. This is, again, I love that idea of having that weekly touch base, because it might be something that minor to where they can speak up during that time. They can maybe talk about a client or a customer that they've had that really kind of made their day, maybe one that didn't make their day. Just having them being able to talk through things with you guys, one-on-one or in a group, is really important for them. This group likes to talk. They like to talk about their feelings. They like to talk through experiences or examples of things that are good or bad that have happened throughout the day or the week. So just let them voice their opinion. Let them voice their thoughts, their ideas. It will go a long way with this group. Again, the Gen Z, unlike the other generations, these retention kind of tips are so much easier and more cost effective than they have ever been with any other generation. It is going to take time. It's going to take caring. It's going to take patience. But for you to just be there to listen to them, this number 9, encourage freedom and expression, is a big one. Again, you don't need to have them to share their values and their morals and get that deep. That's not really what I'm saying here. Just for them to be able to voice, what's happened throughout the day or throughout the week, and have you, kind of chime in a little bit, is really beneficial for this group. And then again, the last one, embrace career advancement opportunities. I think I feel, again, like a broken record, because this is the group, they were kind of insecure or lived through insecure times growing up. So they need security, and security, by being educated and having those options and those opportunities, gives them the security. And for them, it doesn't take a whole lot for them to feel secure, because again, they grew up through really uncertain times. This does not take a whole lot to make sure that you guys give them this opportunity. But it's one of the best ways to keep them entertained, to keep them bought in, to keep them productive, to keep them on your side and really working for your company or you as a leader, is just kind of promoting their self-advancement and development. Okay, let me come back to you guys for just a second before I go to the key takeaways. Okay. Just wanting to make sure there's no questions that I'm missing. So here are the key takeaways. And I could, if you guys want this slide, this is one of the best slides for Generation Z that you could print out and hang up if you want. But number 1, promote the development opportunities, online learning, mentorship, in-house training. Again, those development opportunities can be consistent evaluation, can be, hey, this may be a different way of you doing that. How is Slack going for you? Is there a different application that you would like to use more than Slack that will really benefit? So even just talking to them about what's going good, what's not going so great, what can I do to help you out? What have I done that's working, maybe that's not working? So touch bases with them is really important. Creating opportunities for one-to-one gatherings to foster the relationships. Again, this doesn't have to be something that is, one-on-one meetings every month, every week. It can be a touch base Zoom. It can be a phone call. Just having them know you a little bit, or you knowing them a little bit, is really, really key. And so just by fostering those one-on-ones, I saw that you got a new puppy on Facebook. Tell me a little bit about her. Just those little things, they're very feeling, emotional generation. So those little gatherings and conversations are really beneficial. And then embrace their entrepreneurial spirit. Again, they're going to, a lot of them, over 50% of them, have side gigs. It might be, they might be in a band once a week. It might be something very minor. But make sure that you embrace that and almost promote it, because they are happy and more fulfilled. Remember when I said their work and their life kind of muddied together? It muddies together more than any other generation, because a lot of this group have side gigs. So, work to them is more having fun, not only having fun with their side gig, but having fun with you guys. And then allow them to work a little bit independently, but rethink your workspace, whatever it is for you. And this is something that I can walk you through and help you with too, because each one of you are going to be completely different. But after COVID, a lot of companies have reworked how their culture, their workspace, just their entire environment. It was, I think, long overdue for a lot of companies, and it doesn't need to be something that you're uncomfortable with. It can be kind of something that you put together that really helps retain your employees and make them even happier. It can be those little subtle things like that, just rethinking your workspace, that can be a huge benefit at really no cost. And then investigate ways to support employees wanting flexible work options, and recognize some of the benefits of the unconventional office hours. Again, I feel like this all kind of ties into listening to them, allowing them to work independently or to work on their own kind of in their own different environment, and then to provide professional and development opportunities. So this group, in my opinion, and I know that the research is still out, there's a lot more that's going to come, but from what I see right now with the Gen Zs, they're pretty darn easy to lead if you just truly care about what they want. And they don't want anything extravagant at all. It might be just minor little opportunities, minor conversations, minor little adjustments. So just keep that in mind with this Gen Z. They're still developing as we speak. So I might come back next month or next year and say, okay, hold on, let me kind of retrace my steps a little bit. But right now, I just see some really good things with Generation Z. You've just got to understand where they're coming from. Okay, here is my email address, and I'm going to stop for some questions too, but I've got a couple that I wanted to offer you, but ccase@walton.uark.edu, or my personal email is chris.case@att.net. So you can use either one of those. But I really stress, because each Gen Z that you're leading is completely different. So I don't want you to pigeonhole them into even anything that I've said so far today, but we can talk through each Gen Z. They also, I'm a huge believer of understanding behavioral styles. So if you understand their behavioral style, are they a dominant, influence, steady, or conscientious? And then what generation they go into, those two pieces of information can really help give you ideas and opportunities of how to lead them. Okay, because maybe a dominant behavioral style as a baby boomer is completely different as a dominant style as a Gen Z. So I would love to talk to any of you about your Gen Zs and how to lead and work with them a little bit more effectively. So please do not hesitate to reach out to me. There's my 2 email addresses. And again, I'll hop on a call, a Zoom session, whatever you all need. Okay, so please do not forget, we are at sbtdc.uark.edu. please come visit us for a free consultation. Like I said earlier, we've got a lot of really good consultants that offer a lot of different options. Just about any option that you need, we're here to offer for you. And then make sure that you visit us on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn. Okay. So I'm going to come back over and see, before I close out, if there are any questions. Okay, so this is another great question. With Gen Z being a generation that is more educated and self-aware, it feels like the role of a boss is more of a pastor almost. You're not too far off there. We have to engage and impact both their personal and career life. What does a successful boss look like for the future? Here's what I'm seeing. And again, you guys, I'm all over the country in different companies all the time. And the bosses that I see that are thriving are the bosses that are transparent and caring. It doesn't have to be anything uncomfortable. You don't want to get too much into their personal life. But even by saying, you know, I heard that you had to take the puppy to the vet this weekend. It can be so minor, but that will lead into, that's why this individual is so off today. You know, again, they love that puppy more than life itself. And they came in and their eyes are red and their face is red. Just knowing that and where they're coming from is really, really key to them. So just being a transparent and really kind of a caring leader is one of the most important things that I can tell you about that, about being the best leader that's out there. So caring in their well-being, caring in their development, caring in what's going on in their current life, or at work or in their personal life, is really good. So, you know, kind of playing that pastor almost, it's more real than what you think. It's just by being that just good, loyal boss that is earning credibility with them. The old way of, well, they need to learn credibility with me is pretty much gone. Even though that is still, I know it's important to us as leaders, our credibility and how we act and behave and our examples at work are more important than anything. I had a situation not very long ago where this leader, great leader, but was expecting everybody else to come on time or earlier. And that individual was late probably twice. I would say twice every 2 weeks. And not living that example really resonates with Gen Zs. They want you to be at their level, no matter what the difference is in leadership and experience. They want you to act the way that you're expecting them to act. Okay. So keep that in mind too. If you're setting rules and regulations, make sure that you're the first one that follows them. Okay, any other questions? These are some great questions. Okay, and again, keep in mind, this is all still developing. Gen Z is just so new right there, that there's still stuff coming out every day with the Gen Z. So that's why I really stress that you guys stay in touch with us. And anytime that you guys run into any situation, any conflict, maybe anything that you need to do a little bit differently, please reach out to us because we are here for you. Okay. I don't see that I have any other questions, and I went over like I usually do. So please, again, feel free to contact me anytime, and we are here for you. And hopefully I will see you at the next presentation. Take care, everybody.